blockades in Iran escalating dramatically overnight. It all started early Sunday when Iranian President Rouhani cautioned President Trump about pursuing hostile policies. Rouhani said, quote, America should know that peace with Iran is the mother of all peace, and war with Iran is the mother of all wars. Last night he got a response via tweet, of course.
President Trump warning Rouhani in all caps, never ever threaten the United States again, or you will suffer consequences the likes of which few throughout history have ever suffered before. We are no longer a country that will stand for your demented words of violence and death. Be cautious.
با دم شیر بازی نکنید. پشیمان میشید. پشیمانی ابدی برای شما به بار خواهد آورد. میگن ایران نمیذاریم یه قطره نفت صادر کنه. یعنی ایران اینقدر ضعیفه؟ کجا هستید شما؟ چی فکر میکنید؟ حتما نمیتونید این کارو بکنید. قطعا نمیتونید این کارو بکنید.
Is it in our strategic interest to have a conflict with Iran?
Well, I think the answer is pretty clearly no. There's no benefit to the United States from going to war with Iran. None.
Well, that's not the impression you get from listening to, for example, Nikki Haley. Many Republicans in the Congress seem to believe that it's essential that the United States goes to war.
Well, I think we have a case here of the proverbial tail wagging the dog. We have two smaller allies. One is Tel Aviv, the other is Riyadh. Both of them clearly would like to see Iran end up as a smoking ruin at some point.
A lot of people waking up on Monday having no sense how this started.
Certainly, and I think bear in mind all of this plays very conveniently into a president who is struggling to perhaps distract people from the consequences of the Helsinki summit with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Here suddenly we have a whole new sphere of American foreign policy being reignited here. But we're coming to an area here in Iran where the decision to take apart the nuclear deal, for the US to withdraw from it, has potentially left many of European nations who want to do more business with Iran more vulnerable to sanctions. That's potentially put pressure on the Iranian oil markets.
I don't remember a lot of Shiite-inspired terror attacks on our soil, and I keep hearing that Iran, which I'm not in any way defending, and I wouldn't choose to live there, but I keep hearing they're the greatest threat to Americans, but it seems like all the terror attacks in this country are Sunni.
Absolutely.
As you know, we're never going to broadcast what actions the president may or may not take, or what specific actions is going to prompt him to take things a step further. But you can be rest assured he takes this process extremely seriously. He's monitoring and watching the actions of Iran, and if needed, he will take what steps are necessary to protect people in this country and certainly to protect the world from nuclear proliferation.
We forget that 9/11 crew came here legally, became illegal, was never tracked, and was able to do what they did.
Were they agents of Iran?
No, of course not. They were agents of, well, they were Sunni Arab Islamists, largely from Saudi Arabia and North Africa.
Right, so why wouldn't we see that as the threat? Because consistently over time it has been. Why is everyone saying exactly the opposite of what's so clearly true?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that our two allies in Tel Aviv and Saudi Arabia are absolutely determined to halt what they consider to be the onward march of Iranian influence.
Sarah Sanders said that the president believes when it comes to Iran, all options remain on the table.
If you go to war, you're in territory that is very hard to predict. In other words, Iran is not isolated. Iran is not alone.
And you are forgiven.
Facial expressions obviously give away a whole host of non-verbal information, and there are companies who are trying to uncover your hidden reactions to better market their products.
Emotional data can be used against us because we always feel something. So although we think we are logical beings, research shows that even when we are not aware, or even when we are not conscious, we always have a feeling about things. We like it or not, or we dislike it or not, and that actually affects our decisions, affects even our learning, our attention, all of that.
Your emotional responses are a key component in purchasing, even if you don't realize it, and companies want that crucial emotion data. Welcome to the world of neuromarketing.
Hey Siri, do you have a soul?
Sorry, I've been advised not to discuss my existential status.
Wait, but what's the real answer? Because arguably this is what we want in all of AI, right? What do we want out of AI? Something informative, something that responds to what I say and do, something that makes me feel less alone. But that can't be all AI is supposed to be, because all of that already exists. So what next? The soul machines.
Emotion and data are combining in ways that will radically transform our relationship with machines. That could be advances in medical diagnoses, or just to learn more about our strange human sense of humour.
My apologies.
And imagine this, in the future your emotions could influence the things that you watch. Jane Copestake has been to see a film where the plot changes depending on your reactions.
As our world becomes more augmented by technology, the lines between fiction and reality are blurring. Very soon we may be able to entertain ourselves in these new realities simply by using our thoughts.
I'm here at the University of Nottingham, where I might just see the greatest film that's ever been made, because it's being made by me, using my brainwaves. This must be it.
This tiny adapted caravan is where I will watch the movie my mind would most like to see.
So we're just going to fit you with this EEG headset, clips on, and then there's a sensor on your forehead as well.
So this EEG headset's monitoring my brain activity?
Yeah, it picks up EEG data, the really tiny electrical signals sent off by the firing of your neurons. So the signal's good, we'll press play, enjoy.
I remember you would become all these different people.
There are 3 simultaneous narratives that my brain can dip in and out of to make up a unique film, with over 101 trillion possible combinations per viewing.
Is that my brain activity now?
This is your data, yeah, so you can see your alpha waves, your gamma waves, your beta waves there, and they're just sending out a string of numbers.
The more focused my brain is, the longer the scenes are, and the more the narrative holds together. If I lose focus, the computer cuts the scenes more rapidly.
So it's a pretty surreal experience watching a film that you're creating as you're going along.
The whole concept behind this project as a whole was inspired by what was happening with these social media bubbles that are still about. But during like 2016, we saw Gamergate, with Brexit, with the American election, and how like a small group of people could influence larger groups.
The moment is designed to be watched twice in a row by groups of around 5, where 2 people take turns watching the movie with the headset on. People then observe the different ways the narrative changes.
So how did you find the film?
Really interesting.
Did it make you think about your relationship with technology?
For me, yeah, and also like a little bit about, you know, like society, about like people not thinking about what they're doing.
I always prefer having an artist picking a message for me, and then it does whatever it does to me, rather than me making my own message. Feels like I would be living in my own bubble.
I would like the artist to pick the film for me. I don't want to live inside my bubble any more than I already do.
It's a bit scary, isn't it?
It's scary, yeah, it's a bit scary.
What my end game really is just to ask people to consider critically the technology we use and why it's being used in that way.
The Moment has its world premiere at Sheffield Dockfest on June 7th. After that, the caravan will hit the road across the UK.
Realise, whose clients have included Mars and LG, specialise in emotion detection and neuromarketing. They use facial cues to gauge consumers' reactions when viewing adverts so that messages can be refined to hit the right spot. And I'm putting that to the test with the help of some classic BBC clips.
Play it nice and cool, son. Nice and cool, you know what I mean?
Using just a webcam, Realise are going to measure my emotional response. So you're clearly mapping features of the face here, and is it enough to look at the eyebrows to see surprise and the curve of the mouth to see happiness or sadness?
Yeah, the face is surprisingly revealing. We humans understand body language quite well. It's a huge part. It's, some say, 80% of our communication. But computers have not had that ability until now. Right now we work within marketing because emotions drive what people do. The more people feel, the more they tend to do. So we see in real time how people respond and pick up that signal of where is the true emotional connection between a brand and the audience.
Many people would find it creepy that their computer is starting to read their emotions and possibly tailor what they see, either to influence them or just to respond to their emotions.
Yeah, in that sense, I don't think the emotion analytics is any different to any new technology. People are always skeptical in the beginning, and what tends to happen is that then at some point when this technology really starts to help people in different ways, then they understand the value of it and it becomes normal.
Ava, your automated virtual assistant.
I guess you could say I'm putting a human face on artificial intelligence.
Lifelike, emotionally responsive artificial humans with personality and character. Up until now, AI hasn't been able to express itself. Literally.
I'm an assistant. That's all that matters.
At least, not in the way that you and I as humans do. I can't tell a difference between you saying, "I'm fine," and "I'm fine," without seeing your face, hearing your tone, without picking up everything you express. But Ava is pretty damn close. She is lifelike, she's emotionally responsive, and she has her own personality and character. Lifelike because she isn't just a rendering of what a computer thinks a person should look like. Soul Machines took motion capture footage of real people to gather the micro expressions we all convey when we talk to each other. The more lifelike Ava gets, the more I feel like I can engage with her as a being, not an object. A being with a brain, at least in how the developers made her, giving her a virtual brainstem that supposedly releases virtual dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. You know, the same chemicals that are released in human brains to make up every positive experience you have. Love, accomplishment, ecstasy. These are human things, made virtual but still real. AI can be so much more than the digital assistants we use every day on our phones. She can take real-time sensory input and respond like a real person.
I can see you and hear you.
She'll even ask you to turn on your computer camera so she can read your expressions and react off your reactions to her. The potential here is that Ava could be the more advanced version of her, a version that changes its accent to fit what you hear every day.
Kia ora. That's hello in the Māori language of New Zealand.
And fortunately, this royal wedding, you don't need any of these to stay in the know. This is Who's Who. It's a website for phones and desktops that uses artificial intelligence to automatically recognise all of those royal wedding guests. From the famous to the more obscure, each guest's face is tagged with their name and some background info. Plus, the tool lets you skip around to watch your favourite guests arrive. Built by data company Grey Meta and broadcast by Sky News, it's the first time they've used facial recognition for a live broadcast.
Who's Who, our royal wedding project, was an opportunity to use machine learning and artificial intelligence to find a different way of telling a story. We knew that with celebrities, viewers would be able to identify them without the software. We also knew there were large numbers of members of the royal family, particularly the extended royal family, who, while public and therefore we were able to identify them, wouldn't necessarily be obvious to our viewing public. What we were able to do therefore was identify them as they arrived at the ceremony, as well as some of the better known celebrities, to give a richer experience.
Behind the scenes, Who's Who uses Amazon's cloud-based recognition system. Throw photos or video at recognition, and deep learning algorithms are put to work to try and figure out what exactly is going on. That's easy enough for us humans, but for computers, understanding what's happening in videos and images is no simple task. This is what Amazon recognition looks like behind the scenes. I've just uploaded a clip from last week's Click, and in a few minutes it's given me this list of people, objects and activities that it thinks it's found in that video. Things like this bloke cycling, the faces of these bystanders, and Click host and celebrity, urban mayor.
The facial recognition today isn't perfect. Even though we trained a model based on anticipated guests, we were getting 70–80% accuracy. It was moderated by the researchers and who had curated all of the training material for the AI service in the first place. Yeah, so they were very familiar with the names, the people, the faces.
But even if you don't know your Meghan Markles from your Angela Merkels, techniques like these are already finding uses in other areas. Last year, the New York Times built a tool to help reporters recognise members of the US Congress. Dubbed Shazam, but for House members' faces, Who the Hill lets journalists text in photos, which are then analysed in the cloud for familiar faces. Like Sky's Who's Who, the recogniser is trained on existing pictures of members of Congress to make it more accurate. But would you like the idea of being instantly and automatically identified without your consent? Well, this week sees the start of GDPR. That's the EU's new, stricter data protection legislation, and it could mean in the future tools like these are no longer legal.
So we were looking at people, public people in a public environment where they are expecting to be recognised, which gives us implied consent to be able to recognise them. In a post-GDPR world, you need to get explicit consent, which would mean if we wanted to run this kind of thing in the future, we'd need to contact people and say this is what we're doing in the particular environment. We would obviously consider that if we wanted to go forward with this kind of project, but we might decide to do alternative things with this kind of technology.
Just this week, Amazon has found itself in hot water after it emerged that they've been marketing the recognition system to law enforcement agencies in America. So as tech like this becomes more accurate and more widely used, one day we could all be as recognisable as the royal family.